Welcome to Listertainment, the channel with the most deceptive name in all of YouTube. This is part 3 of fighters who unfortunately quit during their fight. And I do want to mention, I don't think there's anything wrong with quitting, especially because of all the horrible stories you hear from boxers who don't want to quit and end up getting badly injured and sometimes even pass away from the terrible damage. It's better to quit the fight and try to come back a better fighter after you learn from your mistakes, meaning that you are still able to keep fighting. Let's get started. Ramon "Yoy Boy" Campas had a crazy amount of fights in his boxing career, fighting a total of 128 times, and he won 108 of them with 83 knockouts. Coming into this fight with Fernando Vargas in 1998, he had only lost 2 fights in 74 fights. He was the champion in the welterweight division, and Fernando Vargas was in his 14th pro fight. Many people were shocked that they would rush Vargas into a title fight, but this was the story of his career, always being rushed. But he did pull out a huge upset.
And Campas loses, and then Vargas' terrific left hook becomes even bigger Roy Boy Campas. And another right cross lands.
They made both the...
This fight was a complete mismatch for the entire fight. Vargas was too fast and too strong for Campas, who took a ton of hits, ending in him quitting. He wanted to quit after the 6th round, but got convinced by his trainer to go one more round, and that was a bad idea.
And properly so, as Vargas attacks Campas and pats him in the corner. Campas momentarily stopping. What an uppercut by Vargas. Left hand uppercut landed flush.
And he's quitting. He's not going to...
That's it. That is it. Campas has had enough. Fernando Vargas.
His trainer tried to convince him to go out once again, but Campas was done, so he walked away and waved off the fight. He had received a thorough beating, and his quitting the fight was completely understandable. Mike Alvarado had a pretty good career, becoming a champion for a very brief time after beating Brandon Rios in their 2nd fight. Then came the Russian Ruslan Provodnikov, who can take a real beating and can certainly hand out an ass beating as well. In this fight, Ruslan was able to get Alvarado with devastating body shots that even managed to put Alvarado on the canvas in the 8th round twice.
Ни разу не отвел взгляд от цели. Попал сейчас Руслан. Да. Видите, насколько в объятия.
They kept going into the 10th round where Ruslan just kept pounding Alvarado. Going back to his corner, his trainer wanted to stop the fight. The referee asked Alvarado directly, and he decided to call it a night.
После этой серии ударов. 11th round. No.
He fought bravely in this fight, but just got the worst of it. Later, he said that he had to quit in order to protect his own health, feeling that he was getting shaken too often and was taking too much punishment. Alexis Arguello was a very strong fighter, having knocked out 62 fighters in his 76 fights. In 1982, he was trying to become the first fighter ever to win a title in 4 weight divisions, and he was trying to accomplish this against the undefeated Aaron Pryor. The first fight was pretty amazing, with both fighters trading great powerful shots, but Pryor won with a TKO in the 14th round. In the rematch, they went at it again like crazy, swinging for the fences, but Pryor was having the best of it, putting Arguello down multiple times, including this one in the 4th round.
Let's see how loose he can be. And on his trunks with the American flag, down goes Arguello. He caught a sneak to keep going there. Punch to the body, and then the head will go. But Pryor now on his biggest attack, and with it he...
Then came the 10th round, where Pryor came back in devastating fashion, putting down Arguello for the final time, where Arguello just sat there and let the ref count him out.
And as punches like that could do it. 5 solidly landed punches, and there's another one. And against the ropes, Pryor trying, and down goes Arguello. Round 10. Just too many. He looks.
He said after the fight that he had to quit to protect his health. And just thinking of how good Pryor was, he said, "Jesus, I will just stay here." So this fight had a little bit of controversy, but most say, including myself, that Zab Judah just quit against Amir Khan. This fight happened in 2011 and it was a fairly boring affair, with both punches barely landing anything. Khan was leading coming into the 5th round, where he started to land more frequently, eventually leading to the series of events.
Always in perfect position to shoot that punch, plus that's his favorite punch anyway.
Draculich is calling this a knockdown on a body shot. Khan comes to the neutral corner. Judah clearly thought he got hit low. He's not going to make it up. This is going to be a knockout victory for Amir Khan.
Judah claimed that this was a low blow, but it was right on the belt, and his belt was already high, so I don't see anything wrong with it. It just seems like Judah wanted out of the fight, and this was maybe a way to do it. He was in excruciating pain at one point, but as soon as he is counted out, he raises his head as if nothing had happened, because nothing did happen. Reminds me of all those stupid soccer players, and I hate it because I am a fan of soccer and boxing. Buster Douglas was coming off his biggest fight, beating the great Mike Tyson via a knockout.
His legs together as Buster's landing these. Oh, nice uppercut by Buster Douglas. Look at that!
Then in 1990, he was set to fight against Evander Holyfield. Just like current-day Andy Ruiz, Douglas got too full of himself and didn't train as he needed to train after becoming the champion. And in the very next fight, where he was to defend his title, he was 15 pounds over his previous fight weight, and he was too sluggish, facing off against 208-pound Holyfield. Holyfield ended it in the 3rd round.
Last 2 or 3 have been hard. Again, at the hand in the back of the head of Holyfield.
That time by holding Holyfield. Right hand stuns Douglas.
Caught him going in. He is not going to get up. There goes the heavyweight championship of the world.
It was a great punch, but Douglas doesn't seem to be all that hurt by it when he's on the ground. He's even checking himself to see if he's bleeding, which is not something you really see when a fighter is hurt so badly that he stays on the canvas for a long time and then has trouble getting up. I and many others think that he saw a great opportunity to quit and took it. Kostya Tszyu was a great fighter who was a champion in the lightweight welterweight division for a very long time, and he only lost 2 times in his career, where he fought 34 times. In 2005, he was facing off against Ricky Hatton, and Kostya was coming in as the linear light welterweight champion, and with Hatton being the rising star. The fight was a very dirty fight, with Kostya landing multiple low blows and then Hatton landing his own deliberate low blow since the ref wasn't stopping Kostya.
He has fought every second of every round and not given Kostya Tszyu a chance to rest.
Hatton's non-stop pressure and body shots were taking their toll on the champion, and by the 11th round, he felt like a beaten man.
A straight right hand that landed by Kostya Tszyu, but Ricky Hatton, a dazzling show here against the man considered. And Hatton it's over!
Kostya failed to come out of his corner. He got back to his corner after the grueling 11th round and told his corner that he didn't want any more action, so his trainer threw in the towel. This was the final fight for the great champion. In 2017, Kell Brook was coming off his loss to Gennady Golovkin, where he got a pretty terrible beating in his first ever loss. He was facing off against Errol Spence Jr., and unfortunately for him, his losing streak continued. It was a great fight with a pretty even matchup in the early rounds, but then Errol Spence Jr. started taking control, and in the 10th round, he scored a knockdown.
Who's had much more success in the last few minutes. Kell Brook's hurt here, and he's down!
The champ got back up and managed to get some clean shots on Spence after this knockdown, but Spence just continued his destruction and eventually put him down again.
Spencer Brook looking troubled here on the road. Golovkin the eye against Errol Spence, but he's gone down on one knee. He can hardly see out of it. And he showed so much valiance, but can he get up and continue? I think he's going to sit it out.
This time Brook just let the ref count him out, although he did make an attempt to get up, but I think he just wanted to show that he does have an incredible heart. In the end, Brook said that in the 7th round, he got caught with a punch in his left eye that caused him a lot of pain and he had double vision, so he had to quit. He stated that he had to protect his health in order to continue fighting in the future. Lucas Matthysse appears on one of these lists for a second time. 3 years before he was called out for quitting against Pacquiao, he also quit against Victor Postol in 2015. They were fighting for the vacant WBC light welterweight title, so unfortunately for Matthysse, both times he quit were during championship fights, which might ruin his reputation a little bit more for most fans. In this fight, Matthysse came in as the favorite, but Postol took advantage of his longer reach to keep Matthysse, the knockout artist, at bay using his jab. Then came the fated 10th round.
We're going to see him 3 weeks from now.
There you go.
But if this holds up, let me tell you something.
That is a knockdown. We've got a count. And Matthysse is down. This is over. Victor Postol.
Matthysse bit hard on the feint from Postol and took a hard right hand that put him down. It did look like a short punch with not much on it, but Matthysse head was going down and it met the punch to create even more power. Matthysse after the fight said that he could have gotten up from that knockout, but chose to stay down until the referee counted to 10 because he said that he felt something pop in his eye. He was clearly losing the fight and that probably contributed to him quitting because if he was winning, he would have kept fighting through the injury. He was out for a year and a half after this fight after getting eye surgery and taking some time to recover. We already know that Julio Chavez Jr. is a quitter, and the first time that he quit was against Andres Fonfara back in 2015. Chavez was coming off the longest layoff of his career. He decided to move up in weight and fight against Fonfara in the light heavyweight division. Chavez was beaten easily as he was beaten to the punch and as always didn't have any defense. And he even got knocked down for the first time in his career in round 9.
To potwierdza też tę opinię, że Chavez... Ale świetnie! Kapitalny lewy!
After this round, while in his corner, he quit after telling his trainer that he had hurt his leg.
Jak wygląda koniec tego pojedynku.
Speaking out of his ass like he does so often, he said that he thought he was winning the fight, and if that were true, he would have stuck it out, but he was losing by a wide margin on all 3 of the judges' scorecards. This was just a continuation of his terrible decisions in his boxing career. Julio Cesar Chavez, the father, is said to have quit in his second fight against Frankie Randall. Their first fight in January 1994 was history-making, as Chavez was the favorite coming in undefeated, but Randall was able to knock him down for the first time in his career.
Funny thing, win these last 2 rounds or knock out Randall, it would seem. No. Back comes Chavez with... Oh, down goes Chavez for the first time in his career!
Randall ended up winning the fight via a split decision. The rematch was made immediately and Chavez and Randall faced off again in May 1994, and the fight was highly contested again, but in the 7th round they collided heads and Chavez got a deep cut, and in the 8th round the fight was stopped by the doctor.
What's holding Randall up? Oh, look at this blood!
Now that is bad.
If it's an unintentional, but why is he taking the point away?
No. And did he say unintentional or did he say intentional?
You want the fight to go on? Stop. It's not go. It's okay. No.
They officially stopped the fight due to the cut, but the referee said that Chavez shook his head twice at him, basically saying that he didn't want to continue. He didn't want any more of Randall. He was giving up. The doctor then stopped the fight and Chavez won the fight based on the scorecards. Probably the first time a quitter actually wins the fight. The doctor even said that if Chavez told him that he wanted to continue, he would have let him go on, but since he shook his head twice, he called it off. So once again, to reiterate, it's not a bad thing to quit. You should know your limits and when you have reached them. You should also know when you have been bested, and this way you can continue fighting in your career without receiving unnecessary damage. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe down below. Also, make sure to turn on those notifications. Thanks for watching this video. See you next time.